He says, I try to help, but old niggas just stuck in their ways. You know the craziest thing, Kanai? Bro, you know the craziest thing is? When I was your age, man, I remember I wrote an article about this. I wrote an article about listening to new music. If you want to stay young and hip, you got to listen to new music. You got to keep your mind open to new ideas. And I'm not going to lie, as I get older and older, I start to stop listening to new music, bro. I really am starting to get old. I thought I would be able to keep the momentum up forever, watching new kinds of content, listening to new music, doing whatever the kids are doing. But the truth is, as you get older, it's harder and harder and harder to do that shit. When I listened to the last Playboi Carti album, my ears almost started bleeding. I hate to say it, guys. I hate to say it, but your boy Scott is getting old. I wrote a whole article about, in order to stay young, you need to listen to music. Old people who don't listen to new music, they get stuck in their ways. They stagnate. Because if you really haven't noticed, most of y'all, if you notice, your parents listen to music they listened to when they were teenagers. Most human beings never mature past the age of 16, 17. Never. They're stunted development. They spend their entire lives stuck in the age of 15, 16, 17, listening to the music they listened to when they were 16, 17, talking about the same topics, doing all of the stuff that they did when they were teenagers. And I caught on to that pretty early. That in order to stay hip, in order to stay young, you need to keep moving. You need to keep listening to new music. You need to keep experimenting with new things. You need to keep trying to innovate. You need to keep yourself fresh. And I thought when you're like 25, 26, 27, and you write an article like that, you think that it's going to be easy to do that. But as I get older, I start to realize it actually becomes harder for real. It really does become harder to do that. It becomes harder to stay hip. And not only stay hip, I used to get upset when my parents would call me into the room and be like, can you help me with my phone? I can't figure out how to send an email. And I would look at the phone and I would be like, dude, the button for sending the email is right there. It says send. Do you not know how to read the screen? My mom or my dad would call me in. Yo, Scott, how do I send an attachment? And I'd be like, you see that squiggly attachment button right there? It says attachment underneath it. That's the button you need to press to send an attachment. And me, my brother, my sister, we would laugh and be like, these old people can't even fucking read the screen. They can't even read the fucking screen. But now that I've gotten older, I realize that when you're old, you're in such a rush to do everything that you can't read the screen. I mean, you can if you stop and breathe and take your time and look. But for the most part, I find myself doing this now. I'll be like, you guys literally witnessed it. We're on the Discord. I'm like, how do I make the screen big? There's a button literally right there in front of my face that shows the screen being expanded, but I can't see it because my eyes are all over. I'm not focusing. I'm in a rush. And I think that that's the same thing that would happen to my parents. I just didn't understand because I wasn't in their shoes yet. It's a scary realization when you find out, when you see yourself in your parents' shoes. When you're the same age your parents were when they birthed you, when they raised you, it starts to hit. It starts to hit. These motherfuckers didn't know what they were doing. Oh, how many of you guys, Rob Roberts, you have kids. You know what I'm talking about. When you think back and you're like, wait, my parents had me at the age of 23. These niggas were 23 when they had me. Those niggas didn't know shit. They didn't know shit, chat. And it starts to dawn on you like, yo, I'm older than my dad was when he had me. And I don't know shit. So imagine how much he didn't know anything. If I don't know shit, this nigga didn't know absolutely nothing. It's a miracle I'm alive right now. So then you start to think like, man, I was too harsh on my parents. I was too harsh on my parents because as a child, you have this illusion that your parents know everything, right? Growing up, you thought your parents were fucking superheroes. They knew everything. But now that you're their same age or older than them, you realize like these niggas didn't know shit. I was too harsh on these niggas because they didn't know what they were doing.